Antarctica is larger than the USA and Mexico combined, and yet we still know next to nothing about what's hidden behind its menacing ice walls. So what's actually lurking down near the South Pole? Well, gold-spurting volcanoes, human skulls, and blood-flowing waterfalls for starters. Folks, dress warm, because we're about to find out even more. Bones. It might seem like Antarctica is nothing but ice, and oh, did we mention ice? But if we rewind the clock back to 71 million years ago, life was flourishing. There was no polar ice caps, it was far warmer than it is now, and Antarctica was reminiscent of a prehistoric Jurassic Park, with dinosaurs strolling around alongside a range of other animals. How do we know this? Well, back in 2016, a team of researchers stumbled across a huge finding on James Ross Island, which is right about here. No, it wasn't pieces of the Titanic, because that actually sank in the North Atlantic on the other side of the world. It was in fact a ton of preserved bones. These bones, now considered fossils, were analyzed and declared to be anywhere between 71 and 67 million years old. Most of them were related to ancient duck-like creatures, but don't you worry, of course there were dinosaur bones too. Remember the Mosasaurus from Jurassic World? Well, yeah, they found evidence of that old beast floating around. A human skull. Jump in the time machine and skip back a few decades further, and scientists actually discovered something even more intriguing. A human skull. Yep, back in 1985, researchers came across a human head, which was thought to have been from the early 1820s, making it one of, if not the first landing in Antarctica. We say landing because it supposedly belonged to an indigenous woman from southern Chile, and was found right about here. Yamana Beach at Cape Shiref on the South Shetland Islands. So you get the idea. Antarctica isn't just ice and penguins, it's a bone-riddled graveyard as well. Mountains under the ice. We're well aware of the immense amount of ice that covers Antarctica these days, right? The continent boasts around 90% of the planet's freshwater ice, with 99% of the landmass being made up from two enormous 3-mile thick sheets of the stuff, all up crossing roughly 5.4 million square miles. That's like the contiguous United States, 3,119,000, sorry Hawaii and Alaska, not this time, plus Argentina, 1,100,000, Kazakhstan, 1 million, and France, 210,026, all rolled into one. With a landmass that enormous, you're probably thinking that there must be more to the story, and you're right, there is. Amazingly, there's actually loads more to find, including a mountain range. But we're not talking about the Transantarctic Mountains or Mount Erebus. We're talking about the Gamburtsev mountain range, which is, ready for it, sneakily hidden away underneath the ice. Scientists actually discovered it back in 1958 when suddenly found themselves on thin ice within an area where it was supposed to be miles thick. The peaks below were discovered to be 9,000 feet high and close to 750 miles in width. Whoever thought that an entire mountain would be good at hide and seek, huh? Crystal-spewing volcano. You know what else is hiding behind that intimidating Antarctic ice wall? A volcano that spurts of crystals whenever it darn well feels like it. That's right, Mount Erebus, which is the second highest volcano in Antarctica, and the southernmost active volcano on Earth, actually shoots out crystals from its central vent, and has been doing so since way back in the 1970s. These little crystals are called anorthoclase and look like this, but they're not the only magic happening at this mysterious mountain. American geologists have also found tiny crystals of metallic gold in nearby snow, measuring up to 0.02 millimeters, so like teeny tiny. Sadly though, it's not enough to make us stinking rich anytime soon. The mountain only spurts about 80 grams of gold a day, and considering that it covers a huge area with a peak of 3,794 meters, good luck finding those microscopic specks. But how is this even possible? Well, Mount Erebus, being, a fiery volcano, creates lava. It's also one of the 3 permanent lakes of molten lava in the world. That hot-as-heck lava emits searing gas, and one of the elements in that gas is gold. Hallelujah! When that gas makes contact with the icy air, the temperature of the gas drops, cooling from over 1,000 Celsius to under 100 Celsius, creating tiny solids. This entire process happens within a couple meters of the lava. Cool, right? Speaking of gold, want to know how much yours could be worth in the future? Check this out then. The Blood Red Waterfall. Waterfalls are generally clear, correct? Sometimes they can be a little brown if the water is muddy, or white if the water is crashing hard. But you know what they're usually not? Red. Waterfalls are not red. Ha! Well, actually that's wrong. In reality, behind that ominous Antarctic wall of ice, they are. Say hello to the appropriately named Blood Falls over at Taylor Glacier, located right about here. Take one look at that color and its ominous bubbling and you'll understand how it got its name. But what's the deal? Surely this isn't the aftermath of a gladiator battle or a massacre on ice. Thankfully, there's nothing menacing going on over here. The color is totally natural. Scientists initially thought that it was due to a collection of red algae. Hold the phone though, because that's since been disproven. After knocking their heads together and scanning the area beneath the falls, researchers finally figured out that it was all thanks to a network of rivers and a glacier down under the ice surface, all of which had flowing water that was abnormally high in iron. It was the iron that caused the reddish tint. Hold on a second. How can there be a flowing waterfall when the temperatures down there are colder than my ex-girlfriend's heart? I'm fine. Well, it's because those underground waters have a composition that includes a high level of salt water, which, by the way, has a much lower freezing point compared to regular water. So the high salt level combined with the iron is the reason why the blood falls don't freeze, despite it being well below freezing temperatures at a mere 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit, around -17 Celsius. Striped icebergs. Moving on. Most of the time, the icebergs down in Antarctica are either snow-capped and white or have a clear turquoise color reflecting the water and sky. That makes plenty of sense. You know what doesn't though? Green icebergs, and black icebergs, and royal blue icebergs. Yeah, weird, isn't it? Well, they exist, and incredibly, they're actually rather common down near the South Pole. These colors aren't just solid blocks of ice that look like they've been mixed with some home-brand food dye. Nope. The colors usually appear in striped patterns. It might seem crazy, but it's actually true. And there's a very simple explanation for it. It's all due to the particular elements that were present in the water when they froze. Frozen water with algae becomes green, frozen meltwater becomes blue, and frozen water lined with various sediments usually becomes black. Have you ever found a fly frozen in your ice cube tray? Similar concept. 2 ATMs. Coming in way out of left field, let's give a quick shout out to the 2 solitary ATMs living in solitude down in Antarctica. Over at the McMurdo Station, which is the largest scientific basin across the entire region, there is actually a shred of civilization. We know it sounds nuts. But where do you think the researchers hang out when they're not climbing up Mount Erebus or playing tag with the penguins? McMurdo is home to some coffee shops, a general store, a post office, and a few other bits and pieces. And what do you need to buy things at these stores? Money! Since 1998, that pair of Wells Fargo ATMs have been the only means of withdrawing cash. People might not venture down into Antarctica's icy abyss very often, however. That doesn't mean that it's a lifeless desert. Wait, desert? Yeah, you heard us right. It might not have the sands of the Sahara, and you wouldn't think a place largely covered in snow and ice would be dry, but huzzah! That's the case with Antarctica. It's actually the driest place on planet Earth, officially classified as a cold desert. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yeah, life in the desert. There are a number of endemic animals crawling, swimming, skating, and hopping around the area, some of which are cuddly and some of which are creepy and vicious, all mostly hidden beyond the ice wall. Animals. First off, we've got the strange, potentially scary, yet definitely ugly sea pigs. These so-called slugs of the sea have often been called the ugliest creature beneath the waves. And it's not hard to see why. Then we've got our sea spiders. These little critters can actually be found in other locations around the world. However, they're generally itsy-bitsy, growing up to a mere 1 millimeter in size. In the Antarctic, however, things have taken a nightmarish turn. Mother Nature has really outdone herself this time, creating a concept called polar gigantism, which effectively turns these teeny tiny sea spiders into pants-wetting, shriek-inducing sea devils, growing enormously to have a leg span of 10 inches or 25 centimeters. No thank you. Far friendlier are the emperor penguins. Phew! These cute-as-a-button birds are the largest of all species of penguin, growing up to 45 inches and weighing up to 45 kilograms. And in that bitterly cold weather, we don't blame them for putting on a few extra pounds. The chinstrap penguins, by comparison, are a little smaller, but still just as cute. Rounding out our list of things hidden behind that menacing Antarctic wall, we've got the enormous bird that is the wandering albatross, the captivating blue whale, which is the largest animal ever known to have existed, the killer whale, aka the orca, which is actually rather friendly to humans, and finally, perhaps Antarctica's most violent creature of them all. Any guesses? No, not polar bears, they're the ones that go up in the north. It's the leopard seal. Well, that's all for what's really hiding out down in Antarctica. Do you want to visit there? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to The Richest, and join our notification squad. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.